It was still dark when the first rays of dawn crept across a quiet forest in Michigan. The morning of July 13th, 2020, a group of people walking through the woods made a discovery so horrifying it would haunt them forever. In a clearing, but as they came closer, the truth hit them like a nightmare. It was the completely burned body of a woman. The smell of gasoline still lingered in the air. Police arrived, unsure who this victim was, until fingerprints revealed a name that would shake the poker world. Susie Zhao, a 33-year-old rising star, known in casinos by one haunting nickname, Poker Face. Susie's life was the image of the American dream. Born in Beijing, raised in Michigan, and gifted with a mathematical mind that made her unbeatable at poker. She earned over $200,000 in tournaments, a small fortune for someone who started by betting on lunch money with friends in a basement. But behind that calm, calculating smile hid a secret even her closest friends never knew. Susie was battling schizophrenia. Her mind was a storm she couldn't control. Her mother tried everything to help, even court-ordered hospitalizations, but Susie refused treatment. She didn't want to be seen as broken. So, she lived in silence, hiding her pain behind that poker face until the silence consumed her. In early July 2020, Susie reconnected with an old friend, Michelle. They hadn't spoken in years, but from the first call, Michelle knew something was wrong. Susie's voice was erratic, paranoid, almost frightened. They made plans to meet, but Susie kept changing the location, as if running from someone or something. On July 11th, she asked to borrow Michelle's car, but when Michelle hesitated, Susie secretly took the keys and disappeared. Hours later, she returned, acting completely unlike herself, rolling windows up and down, turning music on and off, gasping for air as if choking on nothing. It was a full-blown schizophrenic episode. Michelle, terrified for her child, called Susie's mother to pick her up. That night, Susie's mother drove her home safely, but by 10:15 p.m., Susie was gone. It was the last time her family ever saw her alive. What no one knew was that Susie had been in contact with a man named Jeffrey Bernard Morris, a 60-year-old drifter with a history darker than anyone could imagine. Assault, robbery, drug possession, violence. His criminal record went back to the 1980 seconds. Locals described him as creepy, someone who made people uneasy without saying a word. Yet somehow, Susie agreed to meet him that night. Phone records later revealed 8 calls between them before their meeting. At 9:26 p.m., the two checked into a cheap roadside motel, the Sherwood Motel, a place Susie had visited before. Just minutes earlier, Jeffrey was caught on a store camera stealing cable ties and Vaseline. The next morning, Susie's burned body was found 10 kilometers away. The truth of what happened inside that motel is almost unspeakable. Investigators pieced it together from blood, burns, and DNA. Jeffrey had attacked Susie, bound her to the bed, and assaulted her brutally. Then, as if his cruelty wasn't enough, he dragged her into his car, alive but unconscious, drove deep into the woods, poured gasoline over her, and set her on fire while she was still breathing. Forensic examiners found soot in her lungs, proving she was alive during the burning. The fire consumed nearly 95% of her body. The poker face that once hid her pain was gone forever. The horror of it left even seasoned detectives speechless. 10 days later, police arrested Jeffrey Morris after tracking Susie's missing phone to his car. When confronted, he lied, said Susie was fine when he left her. But the evidence told another story: the stolen ties, the store footage, the motel camera, the violent content on his phone, over 2,000 videos involving torture of Asian women. He had an obsession, a pattern, and Susie became his victim. On November 10th, 2022, the jury took less than an hour to decide. Guilty on all counts. Jeffrey Morris was sentenced to life in prison without parole. As he fades into a cell, Susie's story remains a haunting reminder of how fragile the line between brilliance and tragedy can be. A woman with talent, dreams, and light destroyed by a monster who hid in plain sight. This was the tragic end of the poker face and the dark truth behind her final game.